I think Obabo plays League. Obabo's pretty good at League. Right? There's a couple people that are actually pretty good.
I don't think he's as good as Tyler though.
Have you ever seen Tyler play?
He has credibility on my.
Okay, what's his League of Legends name?
Once in Love.
That is not his League of Legends name.
Once Upon a Time in Love.
Okay, now you're just making things up because I don't actually know his league name, but you just confirmed that you don't even know what his league name is.
It's Once Upon a Love. Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Love.
Once upon a time. What is this BS that you're? It's coming out of your goddamn mouth.
People, high-level players have alternate Smurf accounts. Brian, you didn't know that? Yeah. Jeez. Oh my God.
Hello, everybody from the YouTube channel. Welcome back to another podcast. As you can see, we got some familiar faces and some new faces as well, and we're all kind of dressed up here today with some of our old Summoners War shirts, I guess, because I don't know. We're just feeling that SWC vibes now that we're all stuck at home. But welcome back to the podcast today, Thompson. Welcome back, Cuz. Crystal Shizzle, it's been a minute since we've had you on, man. Thanks for taking the time to join us, bro. And somebody has an echo, most likely Thompson, but yeah. Oh. Right at the beginning. Yeah, right at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah, I think we're good now. And last but not least, we got a brand new member of the podcast today.
Somebody messed up all the names.
No, the names are good. No, the names are good, yeah. And we got a brand new member of the podcast today, somebody who you might recognize from a bunch of the different SWCs in the past. His name is Silent. I'll let you introduce yourself, let people know about yourself. I mean, I'm sure some people saw your highlight reel with the intro. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was pretty cool. But introduce yourself. Let us know like how long you've been playing Summoners War and, you know, which events you participated in.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm Silent. Been around for a while. Mostly I just lurk, so I'm glad to be here to contribute and, you know, give back to the community. Mostly I just do RTA, so I've been in SWC since 2017 now, and last year was probably my best performance.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think from the first SWC, was it? In like New York, whenever they had a regionals, you were in that one, right? And did you made it through that one? I forget.
Nah, I think I like made it through the first round, and then I lost to Tiger.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that. That's where you got this shirt too, right? This one, the 2017 one. Yep, that's what's up. Anyways, thanks for joining me. And if you guys don't know, when's the last time I saw you? Was it in Florida?
Yeah, in Orlando.
Orlando,
right?
Oh yeah, that's right. We summoned him a fake 5 donger and the Bay. Like 50 LDs or like 20. I don't even know how many. Yeah, that was pretty funny. If you guys didn't see that that vlog, I captured a lot of the moments, behind the scenes moments of all that with all of us. Yeah, except for Chris, in that vlog. Well, Chris is in a bunch of other vlogs though. That how many times have I hung out with you now? Many times, right? But anyways,
3 times already, right?
Yeah. What's that?
3 times already, I think
So. Yeah, I commentated with you before, and yeah, we met up a couple of different times. So yeah, check out those vlogs if you guys haven't. Let's get right to it. I mean, unless you have anything to say before we get into this podcast today, Thompson. Anything interesting? You always have like something to say, like, oh, before we get into this, I have to say something. No.
Oh no, not today.
Not today. Okay. So it should be fun having three friends or 3 members of the same guild. You guys are in the same guild, right? Everybody's in the same guild.
Yeah.
Three of you guys. So this should be very interesting. So speaking of guilds, let's start off with topic number 1. Topic number 1 is, what does a guild mean to you? Right? I just wanted to kind of throw this one out there because we had 3 members of the same guild. Like, what does a guild mean to you? And like let's talk more about that. Something that we didn't really dive into before. You know, something a little bit more, kind of deep, I guess you could say. Yeah. What does a guild mean to you? Wholesome question. Yes, that's the word for it. Wholesome question. I'll let Wakas, if you want to start off, what does a guild mean to you? And maybe tell us about the background of like Swag. Since you guys
I'll go first, I guess, because I'm like the longest standing member in Swag still right now. Originally, a guild, it was more like a brotherhood, a camaraderie kind of thing, you know what I mean? You'll have a similar focus, interest, whatever it is. If it's high-end, you know, end-game content, that you go into a high-end end-game guild, or if you want to just hang out with friends, you hang out with friends, you know? Now guilds have kind of like shifted a little bit to more like the strong players stick together kind of thing, you know what I mean, as far as the high-end goes. So like, you know, our guild, for example, it's a big congregation now of like good players versus just like friends, you know what I mean? But obviously, for the most part, we are really good friends and we are really close for the most part. However, like, you know, over the course of the last year or so, we got a lot of new members that we weren't really quote unquote friends with, I guess, you know, but they're strong, you know, they help out the guild, and, you know, it takes time to build a bond. You know, back then it was all about the bond. You know, you leave the guild, but you never leave the family. You know, like we had different branches of swag, because if you left because you didn't want to be so hardcore for 2 weeks, or you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you go down to the lower branches, hang out, and then you come back. You never kind of leave the family. But now, like, you know, it's more of like strong players stay together in a strong guild, and, you know, friends stick together, but no more of that old school, you know, the old school camaraderie used to have. It's more of just a strong players guild now.
So do you guys like push some of the weaker members to like a secondary guild? Because I think that's pretty common, right? To have like a second guild. You guys have like 2 or 3 guilds under, or is that kind of died out?
Yeah, we used to do that, but now, like, even though 3 guilds are together, they're kind of like their own entities now, in a sense. You know, like we still share chats. We still, you know, somebody gets an OP rune or an OP monster, or somebody asks questions. We all still answer each other, but like everything's kind of its own little entity now. You know, like back then, like the lower guilds would have to talk to the higher guilds officers in regards of like, can this guy come up? Can that guy come down? Can we borrow this guy? Can we do this? Now it's kind of like that guild's that guild. If you leave, you know, you're not necessarily invited into that guild anymore, kind of thing. You know, like they're kind of their own entities now.
I see. Okay, I like that. That was a pretty elaborate explanation of how the guild, I guess, feels have shifted during the last couple of years. How about you, Thompson? How do you feel in this guild? How long have you been in swag in particular? Like, what guilds were you in, like, before that? Or were you always in swag? Like, let's get the
I've
history.
pretty much only been in 2 guilds. It's T1G, that one guild.
Oh, they have a lot of guilds, buddy.
Swag again.
They have a lot of guilds.
That's a lot of guilds?
No, T1G has, like, the most guilds or something, right? Like, they have,
yeah.
Like a crap ton
well,
of guilds.
I don't know. Yeah, I just decided to play more competitively and wanted to join a better guild, and T1G was there, so I tried it, and it was cool until someone called Distant Array told me to go to A Swag again, and here I am. And I just stayed here because I'm lazy to move, and also I like the people here. There's a lot of interesting characters when I first joined, you know? There was Why Cuz, there was Making a Bud, there was Scat Fetus, and I think Hua was there for a little bit, and Hua, you know? So it was cool. I mean, that's why I'm still here, you know? And
yeah,
now
not to jump on the topic again, but that during that time when Thompson came was kind of when the guild started making the big transition into like just recruiting players, because it came to a time where like a lot of people started quitting the game, and we were actually short on members, and like this was right after SWC 2017,
right?
And we ended up just from that New York meetup, we ended up just recruiting a bunch of people, you know, like Thompson joined at the same time. We had Fua was in the guild. We had that guy. What the hell's his name? Syntac was in the guild.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
That's kind of what
I still think he has like one of the best highlight reels that they did. Him chasing like birds or some crap.
Yeah, exactly. They made him chase birds on that video. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we recruited a bunch of members at that time. Then that's when the guild started becoming like, you know, all the RTA focused guys were in the guild. And then obviously as time went on, we just picked up, you know, more and more better players and things like that.
Right.
But how did the meetups change the guild for you guys?
Let me answer that one. It was like last year, Say Swag Again was actually kind of, I would say, dying off a little bit, but me and Patrick were too lazy to like go anywhere. So we just stayed with Say Swag Again, and our guild was actually kind of slim. But it was not till like after America's Cup where like, you know, we just became really good in real life friends with like David, Silent right there, and like Michael Yen, and JLN actually shared a room right next to my room in America's Cup, and all of a sudden, like everybody that was in America's Cup came together. It wasn't just like they wanted to be in Say Swag Again. It was just like they wanted to be together. You know, it wasn't like this guild that mattered. It could have been any guild, but we just wanted to play together, you know, and share ideas.
Yeah, it was interesting because like the vibe you got from like America's Cup was like nobody was even really that competitive like prior to the tournament itself. Like everybody was just kind of trying to be friends with everybody.
Oh, no. Don't. Yo, Patrick, I thought America's Cup this year wasn't that competitive until I went back to the video and like they interviewed Tiger, and Tiger's like, I'm going to fuck Thompson up. And then they interviewed Dream Joseph, and Dream Joseph is like, "Yo, I'm gonna fuck Thompson up," and then all right, and I'm cool with that. And then they interviewed Tree, and Tree's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up, Thompson." I'm like, "Whoa, not what the hell?"
That's what I said until the videos were released. Like everybody was like, friends,
yeah, okay, all right.
everybody was best friends. You know,
Yeah.
I rented a car and like everybody was in. I rented a minivan and everybody was going to dinner.
You can't say that because the video was made way back.
And then all of a sudden, like everybody was angry as shit. Like, what's the king competition time?
Oh, okay. I guess the video was made way back though.
I mean, you were one of the strongest players, so you know. I mean, it's natural that they feel a little bit of a little bit nervous against you. You know.
Yo, hello. There was
What?
a Topa in front of Sai. He could have said Topa. There was like the first rounds, you know.
True.
The other
true.
true story behind all these meetups is that Thompson loves anybody that can speak Chinese. Right? He loves speaking Chinese for some reason. And he just starts talking to everybody that speaks Chinese. So all of a sudden, everybody thinks like they become best friends with Thompson. You know, he talks to their families, their moms, their sisters, their wives, their cousins. He talks to everybody that's there in Chinese, and then all of a sudden, everybody becomes friends.
There's I'm not racist or anything, but there's like a familiarity I get when I talk to people that just speaks my language, because English is not my first language, you know. So yeah.
Which brings back a memory from 2018 when we were in LA. And Thompson spent 2 hours talking to Tiger's mother.
Yo, one thing I have to say is my mom passed away when I was very young. So then like when I saw Tiger bring his mom to the tournament, I was like, whoa, like this is like, I like this guy. And like this guy's like, I like his composure and swagger. So like I just wanted to like talk to the mom and talk to him and stuff like that,
Yeah, that was the one time that you got really close with Tiger too. Like you guys were like close. You guys spoke a lot that week.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys talk a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I passed by, like I was trying to like listen in and be like, oh man, I'm gonna listen to see what they're talking about. I have no idea. You guys talking Chinese, man? I don't know what you guys saying.
So like those kinds of events are exactly why like I actually kind of disagree with Wycuz about like how I feel about the guild. Maybe it's because like I joined right around that time, but I feel like a lot of the people in SSA, like I know you guys from having met you at events, all those people you mentioned, Thompson, and so like I actually feel like this is like my community now. Like before that, I had only been in one guild, Money Team, so shout out to them. But
Money
it was
Team?
just like a really casual small guild. I was like just hanging out, farming. So it was cool to like meet everybody, get to know people.
I have to cut you, but we all know Money Team is the Illuminati of rich players.
It's pretty much silence alt, silence other alt.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, I was just saying, like, it's cool. I really enjoy like being in the same guild with everybody that I've met and I know, and like they're all cool people. So I actually feel like it's like more of a community at least now than I had before.
I like that. How about you, Chris? I know for EU, I think EU is pretty strong on guilds. Like in terms of the history of guilds, they've been pretty strong. You know what I mean? And pretty competitive with one another. How about you? Have you hopped around many guilds, and like what's your guild experience and what does it mean to you?
Not really. Quite early on, I joined Noviak, which I've been there for like 2 years, and then they became Requiem, so I stayed there for a while. After that, I actually farmed for about a year almost, and about 3 months ago, I joined to Squad Zero. We're recruiting, by the way, so if you want, let us know.
What's the requirements? What's the requirements to join?
Just be a strong player.
5 digits?
10.
What did you say?
10. No. 10 wins in siege. 10 wins in siege. I joined 3 months ago, mostly because I really missed the social aspect of the game. I was in farm guilds, and after a while it got really boring because you're just there with 3 people. You don't really do anything. You do guild war, but it's just to win.
Yeah, the free crystals is nice, but it's pretty boring otherwise.
It is very nice, and that kept me there for a while. But I'm happy that I went back to
when Island said 5Ds, Patrick and Silent is like,
Listen,
I
most of
also
this chat-
saw their faces. I said
Listen,
5 digits to join the guild, and they're both like,
You know, most of this chat knows I mentioned it before that my definition of free to play is 50K. You know what I'm saying? That's my definition. If you're under 50K, you're free to play.
wait a minute.
Stupid silent getting me in trouble. Hold your emotions, goddammit.
Hey, there's someone that's a bigger whale than Silent in Money Team. Patrick.
Who's that?
Melody.
Wow, we straight up exposing people here, Thompson. Anyways,
Nice.
yeah, it's
Free to play, man.
it's interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on guilds. You know, it's something that has been there for a while, and if you think about it, guild aspect was one of the largest aspects of the game for the longest period of time, because it was there for the longest period of time, right? For just guild wars and then guild siege, and only like I guess the last couple of years, I mean, with the RTA, but guilds have always been very close. Like for me as well. Joining into like literally like one of the best guilds on Asia server, Delicious, was like a dream come true. You know what I mean? I still remember exactly when I got accepted into Delicious, and it was when I was in Vegas with my friend. I think it was for our 21st. I was there for some reason, and we both got accepted in, and we had to work our way up because we got accepted into Delicious 2, the secondary guild. Right when that was a lot more common to have. Nowadays, a lot of guilds like Waika said are kind of just like all separated, right? They're not related, even though it's like a secondary guild. But working up to Delicious, and then now still being here and knowing all the people in the guild and how much of an impact that a lot of them had towards me to stream. If you guys didn't know, some of my guildies, one of the leaders, Sally, in the guild, was one of the ones who started streaming and motivated me to try to stream. Right, just like YD and everybody else, and that's how I started to stream, right? Because they came by my streams, hung out, and that was kind of like the start of it all, many years ago. So I think the guild means a lot to me. Right, definitely means a lot to me. But doesn't mean enough for me to clear all of my my lanterns and all of my swords all the time. But my guild means a lot to me. Okay, sometimes I forget. All right, sometimes I forget. All right, but they mean a lot to me. Go ahead, Mike.
On a little side note towards the guild, while we're still on the guild topic, another thing why we had so many members like come and go in our guild is that we've always been very strong when it comes to the PvP aspects of the game. Like even before RTA came out, we were a strong arena guild, But people have this thing where they love joining us right before SWC starts, and then they leave shortly after. So I assume for possibly rune sniping purposes. I mean, that's going to get reduced this year, obviously, because of the runes are more hidden now. But every time before SWC, we have a big influx of players. And for some reason, 3 or 4 of them are competitors. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks after that, I'm going to go back to my farming guild. I'm going to go back to my old guild. I'm going to go play with real life friends. We've gotten all the stories, but we've always had like an influx of players right before SWC, always, every year.
Fake.
Unless you're Waika's I'm a G and you pop out of your mama's womb and you're immediately and say swag again. Most players, when they start the game with their friends. And what happens is you start drifting apart from your friends only because you take the game a lot more seriously than your friends. Or you could be the friend that takes it less seriously, And that's when you realize the distance and how you're taking the game to a different level and your friends aren't. That's usually when people want to jump and switch guilds, into a different guild, even though they're your friend.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me too. Same thing.
Oh, you didn't pop out your mama's womb and say swag again?
No. I had my own guild actually. We were really strong, and then but I moved on. Yeah, that was part of it.
And then so when you're looking for a guild, you just have to realize what type of player you want to be. You want to be like Guild War tryhard. You want to be like PvP and surrounded by people that love PvP, or surrounded people that love arena rush or whatever you decide.
Or just like people that just chilling, right? Depends.
Or you just decide that there's a girl in that guild you just think it's really hot, and you're just like, I'm gonna join that guild for that girl.
I'm a simp
but
for her.
Let's
right?
be real.
Yeah.
There's no girls that play this game.
Yeah. Right, Thompson.
Huh?
Just say yes.
Huh?
Never mind. All right, moving on to the next topic here. Topic number 2. Yeah, getting into a little bit more RTA grounds here. Topic number 2 is new RTA season has begun. I believe it started last night. How do you feel about the current stage and meta of the game? Let's talk a little bit how it shifted.
Started?
I believe so. Mm-hmm. Yep, you got
I
your
didn't
first.
rune yet?
You got your first 30 wings right now today. If you want to use it before it resets again, yeah, you got your first 30.
Oh man.
I think who's on the top right now? I think Tree's at the top right now. But yeah, what do you guys think about the meta? And let's talk a little bit about RT as it's starting up here.
Can we
I think
please
it's kind of
nerf? Can we please nerf Miho?
You can tell
I don't
that's a
think
cleaver.
Miho is
He
as
cleaves.
bad. I don't think Miho's as bad in regular RTA.
She's not, yeah. I think, right now, it's hard to say. Like, answering that question is really hard right now because everybody's cleaving. So, like, start of the season, it's just, like, weird stuff you're not going to see, like, in the normal part of the season. And everybody's, like, sandwiched at, like, 1,500 right now. So you're matching against people who you probably shouldn't match against. And, yeah, everybody's just cleaving.
Just trying to do wings, right? Because this is the best time to like do your 30 wings and farm your points, right? Some people want scrolls, some people want skins. They just cleave. If they lose, they lose. Later on, towards the mid of the season, they can take it serious and push up, right? Right now, they just want to burn 30 wings, super quick, super quick.
Yeah, but I will say probably this season, Beast Riders are probably gonna be really good, since a lot of people have.
Don't worry, let's talk about it anymore, man. Let's talk about something
Wycut's
else.
gonna be top 100 this season.
Wycuz will never be top 100 because Wycuz is the unluckiest guy in the universe. So it'll never happen.
Mr. Young Hong Double Beast Rider is the most unluckiest person in the world.
Yo, my credit card doesn't have a stripe anymore, bro. Fucking stripe is gone, bro.
Yo, I bet you Silent will trade all his Nat 5s for your one Nat 5. And
I
not
would.
Jara. That's not Jara.
Silent would trade all his Nat 5s for half of my Nat 5. For just the Yun, bro. You need the Hong part.
So
No, but it's hard, man.
Talking about more of the
competition.
talking about more about the meta though. How has it kind of shifted? Can we say for sure meta has shifted, or no, from last season? Do you think Hathor is going to still be
I don't know.
prominent?
I still think
she's strong, but
I think Hathor is still a 70% like overall stronger than everybody else kind of unit, and I think Lauren Verd is still a big problem. So I don't think it's really going to shift that much, aside from more Beast Riders getting messed around with. But at the end of the day, Lauren Verd's still going to chop up the Beast Riders too. They just chop up everything. Lauren Verd chops up everything.
I think it is shifting a little though. Like you're seeing a lot more like Chiwu, Beast Riders at the high ranks.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Hathor doesn't like get first picked as much anymore. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of this weird place where it's like in between two solid metas, and people are still figuring stuff out. So you're seeing like weird teams like Ileana, Chiwu, kind of stuff that doesn't look right because people haven't like fully figured it out yet.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think Hathor is kind of like a later pick now. I feel like if I ever first pick Hathor, I guarantee I'd lose the game. Like I cannot win a single game at first pick Hathor. Like all of a sudden you see every Hathor counter in the universe, and all of a sudden either it's triple immunity you're fighting against, or you're fighting against, 3 units that can't be CC'd. It's all kinds of. I guess as the game progresses, more people get more monsters, they get more options to contest. You know what I mean? So it's not as easy to use Hathor. Hathor's still really strong, but it's not as easy to pick Hathor. If you pick Hathor in the right spot, though, she's still extremely overpowered.
yeah, I think more people are going to start changing their like 1, 2, 3s. I feel like it's not always going to be Hathor now, like that people are contesting for.
Yeah.
As more people are getting like, as much as I hate to say it, Beast Riders are strong, right? Do I think they're overwhelmingly OP? We're gonna have to find out. It's gonna take some, maybe another season to see, if they're just blatantly overly powered with no counters, But I think as we see more Beast Riders being picked and whatnot, people are gonna start contesting for those particular units more than they're gonna be contesting for Hathor. I feel, because as people go, oh my God, Barbara's so good. People are gonna be trying to first pick that or first pick some of those other units, right? To begin with.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the accessibility. Hathor's been out for so long that everybody has a Hathor for the most part,
Exactly.
But Beast Riders are still fairly new, so you may or may not have one yet. You know what I mean? So, as you said, more people pull them, they'll be seen more, obviously.
Right.
There is still really no combo like Gani Hathor in Summoner's War, though.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
You can straight up win with just 2 units.
Well, I mean, you have to bring other strippers though, because you run into a lot of immunity with this new meta. Like, I think more people are running immunity now than
it's the Chinese people's fault, bro. It's all those Chinese guys using auto rag triple immunity, bro. That's what.
I get that, but if even if they bring in like double immunity, Hathor, you could ban one immunity, Hathor could sleep one, and Gani could reset one, and then the second turn you do whatever you need to do, right? And also, like, it's not like just Gani Hathor, it's Gani Hathor and 3 threats, you know? Let it be like Sierra, Chibu, Ileana, you know?
Exactly, having the multiple strips. But if they don't have the multiple strips, it's still tough to deal with, technically.
Yeah, I still think Gani Hathor is up there. And if you're in a tournament and you're gonna let Gani Hathor through, good luck, man.
Yeah, it's true. They're still very strong because they're consistent, right?
Exactly. I like what you say about consistent, because like there are the beast riders and they're good, but they are just not as consistent as the Gani Hathor.
I think it's just like I said earlier, going back a little bit. It's just because people haven't seen it enough. But I like to say that from the players I have seen using it, and these are some top G3 players, top 100. They are very easy to use. Let's just say that they're very easy to use, and they smash people very easily when used correctly.
Also, you're saying that, but people have not figured out, you know, how to really deal with
counter it, right?
You know,
to see if there's counters.
Beast Riders as well. But
I agree.
Gani Hathor has been here for, you know, half a decade. It feels like, right? It's been here for at least 4 years or 3 years.
But do you feel like when Gani Hathor is like being picked against you and you're playing against it, do you feel like there's a lot of ways to deal with it though, or do you feel like there's no ways to deal with it from like, you know?
That brings up the point where it's like
tricky.
Depends when they get picked too. You know, if they get picked later on, it's like you're already 3-4 picks in. You might not have the flexibility to get back to it now. You know what I mean? If they're picked first, there's always ways to deal with it. You know. But it's kind of like, you know, when you see a Hathor, it forces you to almost say, "Oh, let me pick the Gani, so I don't have to see the Gani Hathor." You know what I mean? And now your team is awkward because you have a Gani that you didn't really want. You know what I mean? But you didn't want to fight it either. You know, so it's quirky. You know.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's nice to see people trying to use different units. I really hope that we do get a full meta shift, you know what I mean, out of like pure Gani Hathor. Like I'd like to see more strats being used. And of course, Gani Hathor, if it still stays there, it stays there. You know what I mean? That's great. But more strats being used, right, for a variety of different like drafts would be quite nice. Definitely quite nice.
This is weird though, but with the mini buff Velajuel got from that skill 2, it pushed Gani Hathor back just a little bit. It's weird, but it's just like just a small buff. You really assume that it doesn't do much, but now like people could pick like Fran and Velajuel into Gani Hathor, and it's, you know, a really good counter for that.
Exactly. So it doesn't feel as hard to pick. Like, what if somebody picks triple immunity? Is that too much? Like,
I see it all the time, bro. I find
because you would say there's not enough damage, but Vela is like big damage. Fran is technically enabler of big damage, and let's say who else you have, like a Wusa is still damage or whatever it is, still damage plus 2 other units. I mean, I think people can pick triple immunity, and
the thing is,
screw you up.
All the immunities are pretty much on crit damage at that point, and then if they're not, it doesn't matter because they can last so long that eventually they're hitting you for 12,000 damage anyway when they're not on crit damage. You know what I mean? Because you're already at the 60%, 70% point, you know? Like, as long as you can last long enough, the team with sustain is going to win, you know what I mean? If you could last long enough, you know what I mean? Granted, the DPS might one-shot something at that point, too, but normally DPS will die way before triple immunity dies.
Right.
But it's like, imagine playing a 20-minute game every time you play. Like, how do you do 30 wins like that? You know what I mean? Like, I see cleaving is great, you know? You win, you lose, it took a minute. You know what I mean? When you play those teams, like, you know you're going to be in there. Win or lose, you're going to be in there for 10 minutes. Like, how do you play like that? It's insane, dude. Like, oh, the torture.
So, I know you guys have mentioned this before on the podcast, but
sure, bring it back up.
I think, like, part of the problem of this meta is how good they've made some of the free-to-play units. And it's not like I'm trying to say, like, free-to-play players should have nothing, right? But like, think about like how many resources they've given people lately, like free trans scroll, you know, just
free
all
runes,
these summons.
The 2 runes are kind of nuts.
Yeah, the runes. I mean, people are really like, the average player, I think, has a lot more available to them now besides just like Fran, Verd, Lauren, etc. So like, I think it's great that those units, those basic units, are still really good. But like, you know, sometimes I'll play RTA on Melody's account and she's like, you know, Challenger 1. And, you know, at that rank, you still see everything looks perfectly meta. I mean, Gani, Hathor, LD, Nat 5s. I mean, it's crazy. So I don't think you can argue that people don't have the units. So I think, the issue really is these free-to-play units. The reason you see them everywhere is because they are just way too good. And what I think really breaks the camel's back for me is when you play against somebody and it's pretty clear that you have the draft one and they throw their arms up in the air and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna Google play you. I'm gonna Antares. I'm gonna Luxac you with a triple rev Verd. I don't really know what to do anymore, so I'm gonna pick some really RNG
Sounds like
units
Thompson,
and then
bro.
pray to God that I win.
Mhm.
I think that's a problem in the game.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that part. The end part, I definitely agree with. Like, you should not be forced to lose a game when you did everything right and the guy last picks Antares. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should not. That's way too RNG that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're getting punished for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You did everything right, but you guarantee you're going to lose now, or there's a chance you're going to lose, or you're scared to do anything because there's Antares looking at you in the face.
Let me ask you,
yeah.
if you have a 315 speed Tiana and the opponent cannot outspeed you, wouldn't Antares be a great option for a free-to-play player?
It
True.
would, but I would counter argue that if you had a 315 Tiana, you deserve to win because clearly getting that kind of speed, like you have invested way more time or whatever into the game. Like that, I mean, I think I heard before it was like runes, monsters, and brain, right?
Right.
So if your runes are that much better, you deserve to win. Someone shouldn't be able to hard counter you with something like that. And,
It doesn't even have to be good
that's-
runes either. To
that's
counter
their
you, you know
only
what I mean?
shot
Like,
at beating you. That takes like zero brain, and they just throw the unit out there, and they're like, "Please, RNG, help me out here."
I feel like
Or you
Chris
could
was saying the same thing too with Miho. You know
Well,
what I mean? Is that
well,
what you were
well,
feeling
Chris
as well,
is-
Chris?
Or
Chris
you
is
could be
laughing
like
right now
Patrick.
because 315 Tiana is nothing for Chris. But continue.
Oh yeah. Well, you
That's
hate
just that slow shit.
It's a bit slow. Come on.
Well, I'm just giving an example. Or if you have a 330 speed Chiwu, and the free to play player, or the typical people that don't have a 330 set Chiwu, they're gonna bring triple revenge Verd. That's the best pick. That's actually big brains, in my opinion.
Yeah, it
Chris,
does.
what were
It
you gonna
does.
say, Chris?
It does. It does.
So-
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, just responding to IslandGrown with the Miho. What bothers me with Miho is that you see her everywhere.
Yeah.
Every fight I did last season, I fought. I think 80%, 90% I fought Miho. Every arena defense I see 80% as Miho. I think it is too much for a monster which is common, which can be acquired by everybody, to be used on every part of the game.
So like,
Yeah.
I know Antares is a problem and whatnot, but I mean, like, if you're drafting and you're playing the game correctly, and let's say you're drafting a Tiana and you're using that comp, I mean, if they can draft an Antares to beat you, I mean, can't you just ban it? Don't you just draft for the other four? Isn't that a smart play sometimes too? Like against
Well,
these
normally when
counter
you pick a
picks?
Tiana, right, you're typically contesting for speed. So normally you'd have to ban their speed lead if you had a choice, or ban their
Right.
booster at the same time, right? Like if I give you a choice, would you ban Triton, right, or would you ban Antares if you're trying to cleave somebody? Like if Triton goes first, your whole cleave story is game over,
Right.
right? You have to hope that you can get your whole cleave off before Antares goes nuts.
Yeah, I guess like maybe what I said was like a little too strongly
I mean,
worded.
we're just giving the extreme examples, right? So we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
I guess my issue is that some of these, like either the effect of the rune set or whatever, like just one proc just changes the entire game, and I think that's too much. Like it shouldn't be so one-sided like that. I mean, for Chiwu, there's resist checks. Normal monster effects have to go through those kinds of RNG effects already, and then for someone to just have that one proc and it just changes the game and you insta lose. I mean, I think that's too much.
Yeah, that's why I didn't used to feel this way, but like I feel a lot now that like a bigger part of RTA and competition and everything is really luck based. You know what I mean? Like I was always a strong advocate for, pick ban and, being a smarter player and making the right decisions. But like you can, no matter what you do, the luck is still number one. You know what I mean? If you don't proc and he procs, if he procs the right time, you proc at the wrong time. Like luck is such a big part of it. You can counter the other guy's team completely, but if he procs 4 times and you proc once, you lose. I don't care what you are. I don't care what runes you have. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're doing, who you're fighting.
You know, I will say this.
Some lucky units, you know.
I will say this, chat. We need to hear things from a different perspective from different people, right? I will say that I kind of agree as well, right? You spent the time, you spent the resources, you build up a comp, and you're able to get certain units, but it's tough, right? I think Comp2 is trying to balance it so that, you know, players that are just getting into the game and spend time in the game have at least a fighting chance, right, against players like, let's say you or Thompson or Wycuz, right? They want a chance, and if it has to be based on luck, that's the only thing they got, right? I mean, if they put their brains versus your brains, right? I mean, let's say they even can outbrain you in the draft somehow. I don't know how, or if they max you in the brain stats, they're not going to be able to meet you in the rune requirements. So the only place that they know they can beat you is in the luck department. So I mean, we just have to talk about this. Like, do we want these players to have a chance to beat you, or shall it always just be like, hey, these players are the top, like Psy's at the top, Tiger's at the top, Thompson's at the top. Nobody can ever beat them. 0% chance to beat you. Or how will they be able to beat you? Because if we want to talk about the long term of the game, we have to give players a way to beat you guys, right? Even though it sucks, right? As a top player, or, you know, playing somebody who's lower than you, like me playing against a fighter or something like that, they have to have a chance, right? And if they can't get the chance, then will they have fun playing the game, or will they want to invest in the game, and will the game still be able to thrive, right? So it's kind of like give and take. I mean, I'm kind of stuck in between.
No, and I agree with you, and I know that's why Comp2 is doing what they're doing with these units and not nerfing and not buffing certain things. Right. The only thing is I see the frustration come from Silent's end too, because as a guy that's played the game for a long time,
I know how it
feels. You still see a lot of new players, right? And they complain about how they don't get this and they don't get that. Like, if any of you people that played less than 3 years had played before that and saw what we had available to us, even with spending, I'm not talking about what was freely available to us. I'm talking about heavy spending, what was available. You couldn't even heavy spend because you'd run out of shit to get. You know what I mean? Like, now you could buy all the packs and it would cost you like $2,000 a month to play this game, right? Back then, 2,000, all you're buying is 3,000 red crystals with nothing else. No bonus mysticals, no colorful runes, no guaranteed legend this, 5 guaranteed legend that, immemorials. We had nothing. Okay, so I understand where Silent's coming from, that we were so deep from when we had nothing, and people still complain that there's so much free stuff in this game. Like, this game, they give you so much now to compete that I feel like it's not fair. And I'm kind of the same boat as Silent. It's not that fair to us longer standing players that dedicated a lot to see people just get stuff for like free. You know what I mean? Like, a guy could log on today, play for 20 days, and have one better rune than I have on my entire account after 5 years.
Well, that's not exactly my original point either. I think it's actually a good thing that more people have access and can get into the game.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it'll help RTA, you know, move forward and keep growing. I think my original issue was just that when you have monsters or effects that are available to everybody, and they are very strong and very random, and then you make them available on a bunch of different monsters, it allows people to put combinations together that basically throw strategy out of the window. And you have players that are 100% invested in purely the luck aspect. And I feel like that should not be a viable winning strategy. I mean, yeah, maybe you can bring like one strong counter pick like triple red verd because you're big braining somebody. Okay, I'll concede that makes sense. But when your entire team is just pure RNG,
you pick 5 Google Play units.
Okay, I think I see your what you were saying a little bit more. I guess we went on a tangent, but I guess the topic we're talking about was also very interesting. But yeah, I guess that's true, right? Going back to what Silent just said there, I mean, I have to 100% agree with that, right? If they're gonna be making a lot of units that are no brain picks that destroy like a majority of different comps. We're not even talking about rune quality, right? We're just talking about compositions in general, right? Destroying tons of different comps with just bringing in one unit or several types of units like that. I don't think that's a healthy thing for the game. I could agree with that, sure. And that pairs with all levels. Conqueror, Guardian, doesn't matter what level, right?
Exactly.
I agree.
It's scary he brings that up because you literally could literally take the best runes on your account, rune up those 8 to 10 units that are just all luck based, and you'll still have above 50% win rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, while all the guys are braining, trying, optimizing their runes and ruining these new units and practicing and playing these comps, you can literally blindly pick all the lucky units and get lucky, and you'll still win more than half your games. And that's crazy.
I don't think you could put your best runes on all the random RNG units and win more than 50% of your game.
I think you can.
Are you talking about
if you pick Antares, Diana,
who are you talking about?
You have a high 50% win rate. I don't care what the other team looks like.
I think there's ways around it, and I think the fun part about Summoner's War is you creating a team and you knowing how to pivot out of the team to counter those type of toxic units.
Mm-hmm. I
But
mean,
the one thing you can't counter is luck, though. Even on paper, you countered it. Like those.
Yeah, but
those are
what
units that
kind
have
of
extra lucky
unit
chances.
is the problem
right?
that's creating that luck? Are you talking about Antares? Are you talking about Vertihill? Are you talking about Miho? Are you talking about Diana?
It's the randomness, right?
But which units are you guys talking about? It's
everything you just named. Diana, right? If Diana procs 5 times,
they all can be dealt with. And
Diana
Diana got nerfed this season with the whole violent proc nerf.
Diana got nerfed, right? But if she procs 5 times, you lost, right?
That's when you have to bring your own Antares into Diana, right? The Antares is a counter for Diana. There are counters for monsters like that.
So when they pick both, then who's the counter for the both?
Then have you ever thought about bringing like Wind Monkey King for Dana or like whatever? There you could pivot out of your strategy to counter these type of free-to-play units to give you the 100%.
No, like I said, I agree. There's counters to it, but you still can't counter the fact that those units can get extra turns above extra turns. There's still that luck factor.
What do you guys think though? I feel like these types of units, right? I mean, can we say we agree that we have these types of units in a category like Diana, Antares, Miho? They are classified as a kind of a luck sack category. I don't know if there's a better word for it, right? I feel like over the past 2 years, CompTOS has created these units and has tried to counter these units with other units that are in that same category. Do you feel that way? Because I feel like Diana was toxic, but it was countered with Antares, right? And Diana and Antares were toxic, so they countered with the Miho, right? And now they're trying to counter these units and give you responses in your drafts to deal with them. Instead of having to nerf these units, they're trying to give you options to deal with it. And by giving you these options, I feel like they've created more units that are kind of in that category. So, I mean, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you agree with what I say?
Well, to that point, I think that's like the problem is, and I think what Thompson said is really fair, right? Like, I think any really skilled player knows how to pivot when they start to see a toxic team forming. But the problem is that like not every player is, has all those counter picks or is prepared to be able to do that, or in the rune depth, yeah. So like I think what happens is like when they start adding counters to counters, it gives people the opportunity to pick both of them together in a draft round, and then you're looking at a team that has multiple toxic properties that are protecting each other because they've picked their own counter. So it just makes for a really unfun fight when you know that this guy doesn't really have a plan besides hoping that RNG procs for him, and he's protecting himself because he's got the Diana with the Antares, and not everybody's gonna know, okay, well, how do I get around that? Do I bring a Tessa to block a passive or whatever it may be, right? So that's, I think, what I don't like is the combination of all these toxic passives and units together creates the opportunity for teams that are just like really unfun to play against.
Just a quick comment from the guy in chat, Red Rising. He said discussion's making him angry because 2 of the most heavy spenders are just backing up their money. Honestly,
don't even look at the chat, dude. Don't even look at the chat.
I'll look at it. No, I'll acknowledge him. Are we big spenders? Yeah, we're big spenders, right? Which is fine. You may not be, or you may be, which is also fine. We're not in the top of the spenders. We're not in the bottom. We're trying to find a balance for everybody else that I'm not going to sit here and just argue for free to play guys. I'll argue for both ends. You know what I'm saying? But as the topic is right now, we're discussing the fairness that somebody that spent X amount of dollars is getting raped by somebody that spent $0. So if you spend $10 to buy 10 ice creams and somebody gives you 1 ice cream, you'll be very angry, right? Where's my 9 ice creams? So what's happening is basically that we're not getting our fair share, so we got to make a comment about it. Not that we're saying it's wrong or right, we're allowed to express our feelings from where we stand, right?
Chat,
Just like I
I
express
just
the
want you
feeling
to
of free to
know,
play guys too.
for those of you guys watching YouTube and for those of you guys in chat, keep in mind, right? I bring a variety of people onto this podcast so we can hear a variety of ways that they think, right? Whether you agree or disagree, that's why we have these podcasts, right? And no matter what anybody says, even though somebody wants to say, hey, I'm vouching for this side of the line or this side of the line, everybody is in their own way biased in some way, right? But we have people here to discuss about various topics, so let's respect it, right? Whatever they have to say, let's respect it, let's hear it, let's talk about it, and we'll continue to grow and bring other people into the podcast to talk about it, right? Whether you think it's right or wrong. That's the main thing.
Can I just clarify one thing though?
Sure.
I want to be. I hope that the audience, like understands. I'm not coming at this from a spending perspective. Like I think it's perfectly fine for free units to be good and usable, but I think there needs to be a strategy to how you utilize them. I think when again, I want to go back to like what I said before. It's when you give people an opportunity to just combine units in a way where you're not really thinking about how do I beat this guy. You're just throwing luck and rolling the dice. I feel like that's not a viable way should not be a viable way to play RTA.
Yeah, I agree with Silent too. It's not even a money thing, because if money was a big thing, we wouldn't be wasting it on the game. You know what I mean? It's more of just the game as a whole. Like we feel like there needs to be some kind of fairness for everybody. You know, it shouldn't be like, oh, because I spent $100 and you spent $1, you can't have any chance to play with me. You know what I mean?
Right. I think you guys are more talking about.
We're just trying to find a balance, and it's more of a unit thing right now. It's not even a spending question. It's more of a unit balance problem. Like everybody has Miho, right? You're free to play. You probably have Miho. You know, I spend money. I have a Miho. The point is these units. We're trying to figure out a balance on how we could make the whole RTA world better.
See, the hard thing is that
competition.
The hard thing is that we're talking about units that are free to play. That's the biggest problem, right? Because we see a problem with a particular unit, but the issue with that unit is everybody or a lot of people have access to it. So it becomes a bigger problem because now it just looks like, hey, we're just flaming on units that are easy to get, right? But the same thing happened for Fran, right? I think Fran's S1 was a little bit too strong, right? Fran's S1 stun, a little bit too strong. We weren't picking on it, and a lot of people weren't saying it was strong because it's a free to play unit, right? And same thing here, we're discussing about Miho, we're discussing about Antares, right? It's the same with over a year ago we were discussing about Mo Long, right? About being too strong. It brings in a factor into the game that's just a little bit too YOLO, right? A little bit too much YOLO that is not healthy, whether it's a free to play unit or not. So I mean, we're addressing units that, of course, we feel can be improved, right, or changed.
But it's a combination, right?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris. Let Chris talk. Let Chris talk on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
It's the combination, right? I mean, these monsters, if you outpick your opponent, you have way better runes. They can still win because they get the luck with this specific monster. I think that's the issue. And they can have crappy runes. It can be C1 runes against legend runes. If they get the luck there, they will win. And I think that's the issue. If you fight C1 against C3, then it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, to a certain extent, that's a little bit extreme of a example, but true, right? The same, I mean, everybody thinks we're talking about the wear perspective, but let's bring it down, right? Let's say a fighter 1 versus a C1, right? A lot of players here are fighter and C1, right? If you're a C1 player, you outbrained, you outdrafted your opponent, and a fighter 1 player came in with a okay rune Antares, and they just cucked the hell out of you, right? Wouldn't you feel that that's a little bit too much of a unit that could completely destroy, right? Even let's just pretend you're free to play. Right? They're free to play. Let's not even talk about the spending, right? We're just talking about the disparity in ranks, disparity in runes and units and draft perspective, I guess you can say. And in those specific scenarios, sometimes units are a little bit too much if they're able to do that. That's the discussion we're having here, right? That one particular unit shouldn't be able to destroy your opponent's entire draft and team that they have. So yeah, I think it's a fair topic. What were you gonna say, Thompson? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, aside from all that, I do feel like Miho is a little bit busted, because now you see him, you see that monster in Guild War, in Siege Defense, in Arena, in 20-star RTA. In regular RTA, she's a little bit better, but it's like that monster. I don't think any monster should have that passive cannot die on crit. It's crazy passive.
True.
Because crit's kind of a random thing too. I've brought a team in with all sub 60% crit, right? And a Miho 1v4 me anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like a thing where it's like, oh, okay, you bring low crit and like you bring things with no crit and you'll notice it crits Miho too. You know what I mean?
On
So
top of that,
it's
it
awful.
gains attack bar and revenges
Right,
and stuns.
and stuns.
It's just so much.
And heals.
Crazy.
Right, it's so much in one kit, you know. And the heal thing is big too, right? Because if it stays at one health, right, eventually you might be able to kill it. It heals just far enough, and now if you crit, it doesn't kill it. If you don't crit, it's not enough damage to kill it. So you're in an awkward spot to constantly the whole time. I had a game like that again, especially where everything was not critting. With Thompson, when I was fighting Thompson, everything was not critting. Everything was critting. Finally, my Triana doesn't crit, and the Miho lives with 1 health. You know, so it's like it's just too much in one unit.
So
you know
I big brain you. You pick Diana. I pick Miho. That's not luck stack. That's big brain.
I mean, so maybe the way to kind of continue on and kind of nerf these units without really nerfing them. Of course, I think some units like Miho need a little bit of a touching, right? Maybe reduce it a little bit, just by a little bit. And I feel like if Comp2Us releases more Oblivion units, maybe we'll have a little bit, you know, easier time with these, or some kind of new unit that can Oblivion through immunity, or something that cannot be resisted at all. You know what I mean? I think that could be another step, right? Because I know Comp2Us for a fact, right? They told me straight up they don't like the feeling of nerfing units unless it's absolutely necessary, which, you know, then they will nerf it or they will buff it. But like they always try to find different responses so that you're able to have different units to, you know, nerf a unit. Like just say, for example, Artemil. Artemil's definitely been nerfed in the last couple of years in terms of his power, but it's just through other units being able to counter him, right? And be able to deal with him better. So what do you think about that? And what were you going to say, Thompson? Go ahead, sorry.
I realized Crystal Shizzle's point in coming on the podcast today. He wanted to get across he doesn't like Miho. And I feel like, yeah, in the mere spectrum of all the monsters in Summoner's War, Miho's not that strong. But when you really like just put her into like 4-star Siege or 20-star RTA, if they want like 20-star RTA or like 4-star RTA to be ever a thing, they got to do something about Miho, right? Like for the future of Summoner's War, they want 20-star, 4-star, or 4-star Siege to be a thing. I think they might have to do something about that monster. How about you guys?
I just think the monster has too much impact if it's like available for everybody, free to play available, and it can be used in any type of the game, like Siege, Guild War, RTA. Same with Lauren, you see her everywhere.
There is no counters for Lauren. I still stand by that. I don't feel like. Do you guys know any good comp against Lauren? I don't know.
Usa?
Yeah, you could bring triple immunity. You could bring double immunity. You could bring
Usa.
Wusa. I get it.
Kill it before it moves.
Yeah, Wusa.
Yeah.
Wusa. Yeah, you can kill it
That's
before it
my
moves,
only
or
counter.
you literally can bring a Wusa.
That side of the
Nobody's
screen.
Lauren should be able to outspeed your Wusa. If it is, then hey, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like that guy's just better than you. If his Lauren is faster than your Wusa, we got some problems, man. Yeah, especially with that base speed. But
Yeah, but we're talking about like Miho right now, and I feel like if Comp2Us ever wants 20-star RTA, 4-star RTA, or Siege, 4-star Siege to be like competitive and real, they got to do something about that, you know?
Okay.
And it's just that these monsters, they have 100% chance to do what they do. Like Miho, if she would have 80% to chance to not die when she gets crit, it would be a totally different monster. She would still be good, but there's some more RNG for the attacker instead of only for the...
I think something that would, because I feel like nerfing the ability for it to not die would kind of like take away the whole crazy kit of it. I think if they just
take away something like the stun, the heal.
If they just take away the heal from the Miho, I think it would be better, because when you fight against it, the thing is that when you bring it to low HP, you have a chance of killing it with non-crits. But what happens is it heals so much that the next time you try to hit and you actually don't crit, it's not enough damage to kill it, right? So I think reducing
I feel like the heal wouldn't help it. The only thing that would help it is either take the stun away or take away the attack bar gain, because the heal could just be picked up on by using a vampire set, right?
I mean, but the heal from vampire is low. You're talking about a 50% plus the vampire. That's why it's so much. Because if it's just a vampire set, I feel that it would actually be not that high. I think that would be an okay start.
I personally think without the stun, it's good enough.
Okay. Yeah, something small like that would still be would be nice. I guess there's an issue,
Because
right?
you bring in like one non-critter to counter her, right, for the end. You bring in one low crit unit, and then she just stuns the crit unit the whole time. Then what really did you do? You know what I mean?
Right.
There was I think there was a tournament last weekend. It was like me and IslandGrown, and I had to play against someone called Jeff. And
Wow.
his draft looked very normal at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it was like he last picks Miho. It was like, yo, like it wasn't even like big brain, or it wasn't even counter pick, but I just have to ban it. It's crazy. It's like, what, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If your team's not ready for it, it's just horrendous. You know what I mean? It's a ridiculous unit if you're not ready for it.
It becomes a unit that everybody must build, and everybody just builds for slot 5 pick. That's it.
But the crazy part is you have to build something in your team just to prepare for, God forbid, the guy decides he wants to shit a Miho out of nowhere. You have to have
All right.
But you have to have a special units built just in case the guy wants to shit a Miho on you.
I picked Nephthys and Fran, right? Nephthys and Fran, pretty common RTA units. I got Nephthys and Fran, and he goes Miho, bam, and then it's a force ban. I have to ban Miho. I can't beat Miho with Nephthys and Fran. Yeah. Even IslandGrown was standing there, like right next to me, and he's like, "Obviously, we know who the ban is gonna be."
Yeah, obviously. I mean, just with your draft, there's no way you don't ban it. There's no way you don't ban
It's
it.
Miho, but like, yo, I'm bringing non-crit units, and I have to ban Miho. Like, what's the deal here? You know?
Yeah,
It's awkward. It makes the game real awkward. You know what I mean?
I mean, Miho kind of reminds me of like old school Leica, like that power spike of being able to 1v4, right? There are a couple units in our history that are known to 1v4. Diana, Miho right now, and I would say maybe even Leica, right? Those are the 3 main ones that are known for 1v4. So, I mean, if Leica was an issue before, then, man, I would definitely say that Miho for sure is
I'll tell you what, though, Leica is not as overpowered as it used to be, but Leica is super strong now after the last buff. You look at Leica is super usable now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It wasn't as ridiculous as the stun back then, but
right. Go ahead, Simon.
I think the issue is like if a pick is good as a 5th pick or as a last pick because it's a really good counter pick and it becomes a force ban, then that's a good monster in the game. But if people are able to just pick a monster at any time or pick a monster that you have to ban and they didn't do it because they were thinking that this is a good, force ban for the opponent, then there's no strategy involved and they're just slamming an overpowered unit.
I totally agree with
That's
that.
when
Like,
when
you
there's
see
a
a guy
problem.
has new immunity and you pick a Hathor or a Belinus or a Rika, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a great 5th pick. But if you're just picking a 5th pick or Antares just to go, oh man, if I proc 4 times, I might win this game, you know?
Right.
Like, that's wrong. I feel like that's wrong. I totally agree with Silent on that one. Totally. You know what I mean? Like, if you big brain me by going, oh, I'm going to use, continuous damage because you have no immunity, that's great. Fantastic. Or you're going to sleep my whole team. That's great. Happens to me all the time, because I don't pick immunity.
But let me ask you this. A lot of the times that you're seeing like Antares and stuff pick, is it from a lot of the top players? Does it happen as much? Like, do you yourself pick a lot of Antares? Do you yourself pick Miho often right now? Like,
for top players, they won't pick Miho or Diana or Antares until like, I don't know, I consider myself a top player, whatever. But I won't pick it unless I see like if the opponent is picking Shiho, I'm picking Diana.
Right.
If the opponent's picking like Diana, I'm picking Miho. Like for me, they're just counter picks, but I won't just slam it just to slam it. Like what David's saying here.
Right.
No, Diana's a great counter pick, but then like every time you even hover over Diana, you got to shit your pants that Antares is coming. Every time you hover over it, you gotta imagine that. I guess I'm betting Antares.
I'm trying to get to the point that a lot of these players that are luck sacking you, a lot of these players that are bringing it in, right, like the C3 that versus you and G3 or whatnot, that are bringing in and beating you that one-off time. Do you think that those players actually rank up and get somewhere? I feel like those players stay in their rank because of their knowledge and runes overall in the long run, because it is still luck based, right? And for you as a player, you have good runes, you have good monsters, you consistently perform well with some one-off opportunities that you're still going to be a top player, right? Example is, let's just say TFT, right? A lot of people say, hey, that game is so luck based. So why is the top 10 challengers always the same every season, right? That's just an example where you can get luck sacked, you can get unlucky, but I think you guys are still going to be at the top. Even though I agree that there are issues with certain units, the top players will complain about them, but I feel like the top players will still be the top players. And the players that are luck sacking will stay in their ranks down below.
that kind of happens too, because
Right.
once you get to that top player category, you're queuing against other top players that are actually using their brain and not trying to get lucky against you. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you deal with a lot less of it. You know, when you're in that Conqueror, Low Guardian area, my neck of the woods, you know, that's all you see is just stupidity. You know what I mean? Like just nonsense every game. Either 3 immunities or 3 Luxac units or 3 immunities or 3 Luxac units. Like every game, that's what I deal with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Once you get to the next level and you're only playing against the top players in the world, like you really are playing against now it's really a skill based. You know, luck gets dropped a little bit, skill gets put more into it, but you just face less of it. So that's why the top players will still be the top players. You're not going to queue into Tomato. He's not going to go Antares Miho you. You know what I mean? He's going to use his shit to beat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Win or
those
lose,
are
he's gonna
luck
use his
sack
shit.
based units. I mean, the top players and the smart players still don't draft them because their normal drafts and their normal units are going to be way more consistent in the long
Right,
run.
higher. It's like a higher
Right.
consistency. Exactly, 100%.
So now
But
with
the-
that perspective, right? We're jumping ship 24/7 here. Now with that perspective, are they that big of an issue still? I still think they're a big issue, but I mean, is it still a little bit more like reasonable now in your head? Like after kind of saying that, at least the C3 player goes, damn, I queued into Silent, man. Fuck him. I could use the Centaurs and maybe I can luck sack him, take a picture, send it to my mom and my grandma, and then finally I can be proud of something in my life. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, Brian,
But,
you
like-
just cursed me. Now every single C3 I play against is gonna do that.
Oh no, don't do it, guys.
I heard on podcast how to beat Silent as Antares Miho.
Yeah, but to be
You heard it
fair,
here first.
I think you sold me. Like I think maybe why it stands out so much to me is like
Right.
when you lose that way, you just remember it and
It
it feels really
sucks.
bad.
And two
Yeah,
it's
people
really
lose
bad.
their jobs.
But it's
Yeah.
also more painful, right? Because of the point system.
True. But if you're a good
Seasons
player,
ago-
you're a top player, you're still gonna be up there. You're not. That's not gonna happen if you see G3 and every match that happens and you get luck sacked and you lose every single time because you're not drafting accordingly, then I think then that's more of a player issue, then, right? I don't know.
I'd still say though, like I'd still say it's a slippery slope for comp to us. Like if they
It is.
keep going down that path and it becomes like more and more viable where like you could just pick 5 of those units and win more than 50% of the time consistently, then all right, like, you know, this RTA system's completely broken.
Right.
But then what do you guys think about last SWC?
Oh yeah, a lot of Antares. There was a lot of
I-
Antares, right?
I felt like it was more exciting to see, but it felt more Luxac based than
Wait.
Yeah,
than
I
the
mean,
other ones.
Luxacs always cause the most excitement. You know what I mean? Hands
Yeah.
down. I mean, if the guy hands down just chops you up, it's not that exciting. You know, you queue into a guy, he's always beat you down. It's not fun.
You
But
know,
when you
as a
pop that one time,
competitor-
it's like, oh, you know, the crowd goes nuts. You know, everything.
As a competitor, you win, they say you luck sack. You lose, they say you luck sack. It's gonna be like that regardless.
right. You know, I mean, the probability of like Antares cucking you is there, but it's also not there. I don't know if that makes any sense, right? Because I think if we rewatch the finals, or I mean not the finals, but all of the SWC from the finals, like the 8 contestants last year and all the Antares picks, was there a lot of Antares like bad beat action? I feel like the only Antares bad beat action was because the Antares was on Vio from what's his face, so it was Vio
Yes.
procs from it. Was there a lot of despair stunts and stuff? I don't remember. Like I don't know if it was
I
a
think,
huge fact. It was
Sai-
picked a lot.
Sai took a pretty bad beating from Antares.
Did he?
From
the Vile one though, right? Not the despair one. The Vile
from
one?
Rozith.
No,
Oh,
from Rosie, yeah.
Rozith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He took a pretty bad beating.
Hey, he got lucky too. I think at one of the matches though. Something about his Tiana landing a defense breaker or critting or something like that. I remember on one of his drafts, his Tyrannese Tiana draft on his on the second match or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't fully remember all the matches from last year because it was too
Mhm.
hot in that building. But my brain was getting steamed. What you will notice from last year's SWC is like hypothetically the favorites didn't really make it though. You know what I mean? Like everybody like if you went there in Paris in the building, they had voting boxes, right? And you clearly
Right.
saw who the favorites were. Everybody walks in the building, gets one vote. You put your vote into the box. It was like filled, you know, for certain players, and it was empty for others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of the favorites, you know, didn't really make it out of the first round even. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of surprise guys that made it to the second round, you know? So somewhere in there, like I'm assuming there was some kind of because you know the favorites were kind of like significantly favored. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's a close fight. You know, Silent and Thompson, they're pretty close. You know, it was like, you know,
What you trying to say? What you trying to say here?
it was like Thompson and Wycuz. You know, there's a gap. You know what I mean?
What
And
you
like,
trying to say here, Wycuz?
the lower guys, you know, actually made the win. You know, and whether they outplayed or whatever. Yeah, Les's box had like nothing in there. You know what I mean? And he made it to the final. You know, not that he's not good. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but I don't know. I feel like
isn't it just
there
a
might have been some
popularity?
luck.
Is it just a popularity
I
contest?
don't think so.
Like, how many of the people in the world knew who Les was prior? How many people in the world knew who Roseth was prior?
Yeah,
How many people
Roseth
in the
had a
world
lot
knew
of fans
Thompson?
because we're in Paris, but he didn't have a box like because people wanted to win prizes because of that thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who Les was prior. Like, I might have heard the name here and there, but I didn't know his name. So if I was there and I voted, which I forgot to vote, I wouldn't have put it in his box. 100%.
I mean, part of it's definitely popularity. You're gonna vote for the guy you like, you know,
or the guy you
But,
know, right? The name you heard before, like Psy or Tree, right?
yeah,
Or
but
Thompson,
like,
right?
like Diligent and Lava, their boxes were like, yo, we need a second box for that guy, you know.
I'll tell you what, like, I know like a hero's downfall is when you say you're the best at something, you know, and just like playing basketball a lot, I realized that you can never say you're the best at something, you know. Just look at like Michael Jordan. He's never like, I'm the best player in the world, you know. He's always playing like he got a chip on his shoulder, you know.
Right.
So like, you know, going to the tournament, a lot of these players feel like they're already the best and no one could beat them. And you know, that wasn't my mentality going in. I was thinking like, man, I'm the worst player, you know. I was like, man, like everyone's better than me. I'm scared of everybody, everything, and I need to prove myself, you know. And still this year I feel the same way too. But
so this year
you can never say you're the best, you know.
So this year, if you have a better mentality, then maybe you'll win.
That's
no.
one.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not good, man. I'm not
just
good.
messing with you, man. I always gotta mess with you,
that's
man.
a pretty true statement from Thompson. You know,
I mean, it goes both ways, right?
I spent all the time with him over there, and he's telling the truth about that. You know what I mean? Like that's the one time he's not patronizing there. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I agree. There's definitely
that was actually from the heart. You know, the one time.
There's two perspectives, all right. It's like not being too. It's about being humble, right? But at the same time, you still want to have the mentality that you can be the best. Right, because there's a factor of both, right? You cannot always be down on yourself, or it's also going to negatively affect your mindset and the way you play. You have to put into your mind that, hey, I can be the best, right? It's not about I am the best though, but I can be the best is the mentality. And what you're saying is like I am not the best is what I and you always told me as well, Thomas, because I know you're very humble.
What I'm saying is,
right?
If you tell everybody you're the best, you're never the best.
Yeah, no, you never tell people you are the best, but you say that
I'm going to be the best. You fall much harder.
I hung out with some of these players, you know, and
there's a difference.
They say they're the best, you know. So
there's a difference on I am the best and I am going to be the best. You know what I mean? It's definitely a whole nother feel for sure. I agree.
Yeah. Like that basketball player that tells everybody, "Yeah, I'm the best. No one can beat me." Always get beat. I'm telling you. Just look at the history of NBA.
Yeah, I think people who say that like they don't realize where their weaknesses are. Like if you look at like SWC, you know, no offense to Diligent, but like that guy totally underestimated. Was it Boss that he played?
Yeah.
Totally underestimated Boss and just slammed picks in like a snap second, and they were like terrible picks, and he lost because of that. So I think like people who approach it from a more humble mindset, you know, they come prepared and you know, they think about creative ways to get around some of the weaknesses.
Yep, and that's why I put you. Thompson, go ahead, Chris.
Thompson, did you prepare for last?
I did not prepare for less.
Did you help? Did you help Les?
I didn't prepare for anyone on the east side. I didn't know I was going to get that far. You know?
You see why? Because left. Yeah, Thompson. Real question though. Did you help Les prepare for you?
Molly's next to me. She said yes. I don't know why.
I know it's true. You helped him prepare for you.
This goes back to a previous statement for me that Thompson has an addiction of speaking Chinese to people. And he became friends with every Chinese player, and then like he's like, oh, by the way, this is how you beat this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. And I'm like, yo, you have to fight this guy too, maybe, you know? But yeah.
That's why you guys notice Les doesn't have will on anything. Yeah, I wonder how he got that idea from and who he really thought about to not have will on a majority of his units.
Fair enough. I'll take it.
Anyways. All right, moving on to the next topic here. We talked a little about the pick and bans already, but the question was, how do you pick and ban for RTA? And the bigger question, how do you deal with tilt? I think this goes hand in hand with the last topic of Antares and whatnot. How do you deal with tilt when you're playing? right? Because I know you're gonna get tilted in your matches, in your RTA matches, even your Guild Wars, right? What's the good and the bad from the way that you guys handle tilt?
So I tilt a lot. I've broken a phone before, like because I threw it. So yeah, I tilt in this game a lot, and I can tell you for real that like tilt definitely happens, and it definitely impacts the way you play. Pick and ban is super important. It's probably like games are decided in the pick and ban. So when you get tilted, you got to just be able to walk away and not play. So for me, like if I lose one game, I'll think about why I lost, and sometimes you chalk it up to like RNG or something bad happened. I lose 2 games in a row, then I try to force myself to stop. Like I just have to walk away and just stop
If
playing.
he loses 3 games in a row, 3 people get fired.
Nah.
No, to be fair though, I tilt too, but like I don't think it affects my gameplay. It just affects whatever's near me. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a pillow, the pillow gets hurt a little bit. If I'm on the bed takes a beating a little bit.
Hurt a little bit.
Yeah. My phone gets hurt a little bit. My wife looks at me funny.
Hey, don't tell me your wife hurts a little bit. Hey.
It's all of a sudden I'm just sitting there. I start cursing at the fucking phone, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" So you're so angry, you don't play then. And then I queue into another game and get angrier.
Yeah, I love I know it's toxic though, but I love watching you tilt, dude. I love watching you tilt. Why? Cause
it's okay. Like I don't mind.
Everybody knows. Everybody in that
people
hemisphere.
shit, like,
Everybody in
it's
that
sick.
hemisphere knows that he's doing RTA if he's losing. Trust me.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
How about you, Chris? Do you tilt often, and how do you deal with it? I'm sure you tilt maybe in arena. You're trying to do rush, and you just get that one luck stack or whatnot on their defense.
I think arena is one of the few parts where I rarely tilt at all.
Oh.
Usually in arena it's a bit different, right? It's less luck sacking. You have standard teams for standard defenses, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only part where I really tilt is RTA, and I basically do what Silent does. If I get like a few weeks ago, Triana sleeps my Garo 3 times in a row, then I just stop, because I know if I continue, I'm gonna pick stupid. I'm gonna get more annoyed, and then the next days I don't want to do RTA anymore.
Yeah, but sometimes
I really don't do that much.
How do you not tilt sometimes though? Right? Like, I played a game one time where Wusa slipped my Diana 3 times in the same game. You know, like
that's disgusting.
Like who could not tilt from that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like impossible. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't tilt when I lose. I tilt when like something ridiculously nonsense happens that makes me lose. You know, like unbelievable. Like you can't even make it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to make a video and like just like broadcast it to the world because like they've never seen it before. You feel like, you know what I mean? Like that's what makes you tilt. Like,
but it will happen. If you play
you know?
enough, it will happen, right? If you play enough, if you play against enough Usas, it will happen.
As long as I play, it happens. I don't gotta play a lot.
Yeah, okay. And last person here, Thompson. Somebody I actually personally think that you don't tilt too much.
Thompson does not tilt because
You know,
he doesn't lose.
I have
You can't tilt if you don't lose.
Wait a minute, this is actually true. This is actually
listen
true.
to this. Everyone that knows me comes on my stream, watches me play permanently, even behind the scenes. No, I don't tilt. And you guys, so like there's things that happen to me that makes me tilt, right? Like I remember last season, something that made me tilt was Barbara. Barbara went ham on me. I'm like, whoa, this unit is broken. Barbara is so OP, right? And then, so like, what I do is, you know what? I'm gonna come up and ruin up the sickest Ethna in the world, and then mess that Barbara up next time I see that Barbara. And you know what? I have the sickest Ethna in the world, and I mess all the Barbaras up. Before that year, it was like Tetra giving me a hard time. I'm like, whoa, dude, Tetra like wrecks me. So I go on and ruin up like the best Aegir in the world. And like I'm saving, I'm like licking my lips. I'm like, I can't wait till they pick Barbara. I can't wait for them to pick like Tetra or like a unit that like I feel like is Luxaki or is really good against me. And I just can't wait. And the second they bring it out is like time for me to revenge. You know, I'm like, all right, let me pull out my Ethna or let me pull out my Aegir or stuff like that, right? So for me, like, even though I lose, you know, just like kind of figure out like why you're tilting or why you're losing. You know, it happens
Honestly,
in basketball a lot,
yeah.
where like someone's throwing the same crossover at you. You're like, oh, next time he throws that crossover, I'll fuck him up. You know, yeah, it's like that. Yeah. Next time he tries to dunk at me, I'm gonna foul the shit out of him. Kind of style.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
for me, I'm like, yo, next time he brings that barbell, everyone goes on my stream and they're like, how come like your Ethno is like 300 speed on, you know, Despair, you know? Why? You know, this meta is not called for it. I just want to mess up barbells when I see one, man. That's just my style. You know, I'm going to roll with it, right?
Yeah,
Wait,
for being
300 speed
being
total?
yeah.
Oh, I know, too low, right? Sorry.
That is low for some of the G3 barbells, actually, but
Yeah.
No, but for being
No,
for
I'm not
Thompson,
talking about
I've
barbell,
seen
I'm talking about
Thompson tilt
Uh-huh.
too, but he doesn't tilt in an angry way. Like he actually tilts like
Silent,
he'll
silently.
call me one day and he'll tell me a story about a game he played, and that's him tilting. You know what I mean? But he'll tell me about it in like a positive way. You know what I mean? Instead of like being like, motherfucker, I lost the game because this. He's just like, yo, Patrick, you're not gonna believe this. I played a game and blah 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 blah. You know, like so he tilts in a different way. He tilts in a good way. Like I tilt in a bad way.
But then, like, I remember these things, and then I build a unit that, you know, will bring me solace when I face against it the next time, you know? Yeah.
I think that's really good advice. Like, you got to figure out how to tilt constructively, because, like, for sure, there's ways to tilt destructively, and like, you know, maybe you're like, you know, screw
Goodbye
this.
phone, goodbye employee.
More people don't go hungry.
I know, man. Like, you throw the phone against the wall, and then you're already upset at the match, and then now the phone's broken. You're like, fuck, I gotta buy another phone, and then the wall has a hole, and you're like, shit, I gotta buy the wall, and then now you're like, oh, fuck, next week is reapps, and I have to buy reapps because I want to stay competitive, but then I have to buy the new phone, but like, fuck this game.
That's funny.
It just goes downhill when you start tilting. Like, everything just like, it just stacks, dude. It just stacks all the way down, bro. 100%. But I think tilt is a big factor in a lot of different games, and I think tilt makes you feel human, and I think tilt is a big factor of, you know, making
Real
you
quick,
feel
Chris
competitive,
Licious will,
right?
Me and Chris Licious have caught it, but anybody else catch Molly exposing Thompson in chat?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, I didn't read it. All right. There's also another thing. Some monsters are so strong, you can't, like, some monsters are so good that you just have to build the best version of it yourself. Like, if you get Luxac by Lauren,
Right.
you just make a Lauren and
Just
just
like-
I'm just gonna join them, you know?
Just like Gianna, right? It's so strong, but then you can build another version of it, but you realize it's the Dark Homunculus, and you can't use it in RTA. So basically, you don't have a Gianna, right?
Wow. Okay. Yes.
No?
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
no. Oh, no, I thought that was what you were alluding to. My bad.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Imagine if you could use that in RTA. That'd be so nice. But anyways, yeah, I think tilt is a big factor of the game. And the best advice is try to get better at taking a break. I know as many people tell you, right, to take a break, right? Set a limit, like 2
I'll tell you, every
losses,
time
take a
you
break.
the answer automatic is, I don't need a break, I'm fine. You know,
Exactly.
Like,
It's not
automatic.
easy. It's not easy, but that's the only way. And that'll also ensure, like, if you care about ranking up, that'll also ensure that you're going to get the best draft, the best mindset in your next game, right? Why would you go into the next game 1% less chance winning, right? 0.1% chance less winning, right? Why would you want that? So, I mean, I'm just saying, just take a break. And it's just from experience of playing, like, League, and I'm sure we've all played other games out there that has made us tilt because we're trying to be competitive and trying to rank up, right? So, yeah.
I really don't like that for League. Coming from a very good League
You
player,
don't play
I don't like
League.
it. No. I like playing League with players that don't really care about like their own ranking. I like playing League with like people, like just a group of friends go into League and just play League and just have fun. You know, if it gets too serious, every mistake you make is like magnified, right? And there becomes toxicity.
Alan, you
you
gotta
know,
stop bringing up
like
No.
middle lane.
What he says is true. I've heard a lot of people say that.
Middle lane never ganks. It's fine. I don't
Yeah,
give
yeah,
a
yeah.
crap. Don't come bottom ever.
Yeah,
Even if I ward for
yeah.
her or him or whatever.
I hear a lot of players that say that. They're usually in the bronze to silver range, but it's okay. I
Wow.
understand.
Everybody would rather play
He exposed
in
himself.
a non-toxic scenario. That's why people have their own teams. I'm telling you.
So I think I figured it out. Thompson doesn't tilt in Summoners War. He goes and tilts in League.
I don't tilt in League. No,
No, but it's.
I'm saying that like I don't think it's good to tilt in League because it's
I
like
don't think it's good to tilt in
really
anything.
messed up to play with toxic players in League. You know.
Yeah. But
Because
tilt
now
is
it's a
everywhere.
team. You're not just tilting yourself. You're also tilting 4 of your other players. Now everything they do that's wrong is like magnified. Why didn't you ward? Why didn't you gank? Why didn't you go or whatever?
Yeah,
Why did you die?
Like when I used to play League, often my wife actually enjoys watching me play League. So that's like the only game I'll play that she'll sit behind me and watch me play. And as I lose, you'll realize she's no longer behind me. She's gone. She doesn't want to watch anymore because she knows. She knows. Even though I'm not tilted yet, she already knows. So she leaves the room before the match ends. She already fucking knows.
Angry grown comment.
Anyways, we'll hop over to the last topic here. We got about 5-10 minutes left here. We'll do an open discussion. Whatever you guys want to take from chat, you see any questions or anything you wanted to bring to the podcast here to discuss. I skipped over topic number 4, which was kind of buffs and nerfs, but I felt we kind of hit some of the units with that already. You can bring up some units you want to talk about that could be buffed or nerfed that maybe haven't been talked about before, right? Or like I said, take whatever is from chat.
Tom says people wanted to challenge you in League, bro.
Let's go. Well, if you want to challenge me in League, you have to play my subordinate, which is Once in Love. If you could beat Once in Love, you could play against me. But you have to beat him 1-on-1 first before you play against me.
But you both don't play League, so everybody will beat him and then beat you.
Really? He told me he's some professional League player.
He does not play League. He does not. Wait, does he play League? No,
you gotta pick a better subordinate, bro. He's gonna get you in trouble.
No, but he knows what I mean. He knows I'm joking.
I think Obama plays League. Obabo's pretty good at League. Right? There's a couple people that are actually pretty good.
I don't think he's as good as Tyler, though.
Have you ever seen Tyler play?
He has credibility on my end.
Okay, what's his League of Legends name?
Once in Love.
That is not his League of Legends name.
Once Upon a Time in Love.
Okay, now you're just making things up because I don't actually know his league name, but you just confirmed that you don't even know what his league name is.
It's Once Upon a Love. Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Love.
Once Upon a Time. What is this BS that you're? It's coming out of your goddamn mouth.
People, high-level players have alternate Smurf accounts. Brian, you didn't know that? Yeah. Jeez. Oh my God.
You're right.
Andre wants to know if I could ask Silent if Nyx needs a buff.
Oh.
I
think Faraz also would like to hear about that.
I actually think, people probably hate me for saying this, but I think he's okay. I think he could be better. They should maybe consider giving. I
heard skill 1 strip was a big deal.
Yeah, maybe skill 1 strip, but I think he's usable. Especially with some of the like Belinus and stuff like that. He can make some pretty good combinations.
All right, what is his passive? Like, how much chance does it have to reduce activation rate? What is the percentage again?
It's 30%. I think maybe 40% would make him more consistent.
What if they kept it 30 or they raised it or whatnot, but when it does do that, it does something else, an added effect. That would be kind of cool, 1 turn immunity for him, or something. It doesn't have to be that, whatever it is. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I would take whatever they can give us, for sure, I'd take it. But I think he's usable, which is better than other LD Nat 5s right now. There's ones out there that people don't even, you summon it and you go straight into the storage. So, from that perspective, I'd say he's okay.
Okay. It's almost your dinner time, Wekas?
What buff on it's past my dead time. It's okay. What buff on Ludia would make her viable?
Make it so that she defense breaks no matter if strip or not. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give her the 15 speed. They're not going to give her the 15 speed. So if they made it so her AoE defense breaks regardless of the strip, that would make it better. Not OP health, but it would make it better.
Only changing her awakening bonus would already help. I think it's resistance or something right now.
What do you want to change it to crit? You want to change it to crit?
Change it to speed.
I just said they're not going to give it speed. But if they give it speed, obviously that's going to be huge.
I think one of the biggest mistakes people have and people complain about is that they kind of want their LD Nat 5 to be as good as the top tier ones, and it just can't be. You know what I mean? Just like in the elemental world, not all colors are created equally in that department. You know what I mean? It's you can't expect as long as it's honestly LD Nat 5 wise, there's only a handful of really insane ones. You know what I mean? After a handful comes out, if you have a decent one already, there should be nothing to complain about. I would even almost put Nyx in the decent one category. You know what I mean? There's ones that are awful, like Jara, right?
I'll tell you what though, I do miss.
It's awful.
I do miss those times. Is 2016, 2017 when people the mystery behind the L&D Nat 5 is like, whoa, like I'll pick up any L&D Nat 5 and be happy with it. But now with like tier list and all this stuff in 2020, like people just pull a Nat 5 and just go like rest in peace, you know, this thing sucks, you know. But I remember back then, like the feel of pulling a LD Nat 5 is just different, you know, right? 2017 to 2016. Like I remember watching the LA regionals and people were using like Nikki just because it's like their LD Nat 5. Of course they lost, but you know, it's like, you know, people like LD Nat 5s. I don't mind making it stronger. But if you give Elucia a speed lead or Eludia a speed lead, the Light Phoenix, it'll just be like the Shina Martina all over again. So please not. Don't give it speed lead.
But she has RNG.
Jashin says,
why I said that?
Jashin
why I
says
said that
AoE
Nixon-
Oblivion on Bale, the Fire Demon. What do you think on that?
Yes, please.
Fire demon needs something. Fire demon needs
Right?
a little
AoE
something.
Oblivion, right? We
I
need
think
more
all,
Oblivion.
all the demons need a little something, dude.
Silent will love that.
Well, I'd love to see more Oblivion in the game. I think that's
Yeah,
a really
that's true, too.
underused.
But there's so
Underused
much
skill.
passive that there's not enough Oblivion. That I'll say for
Yeah.
sure.
Like I still use Tessa. People probably flame me for that, but I still use it.
Well, Silent, the one thing I was saying why Nyx I think is decent is because Nyx still has kind of a purpose. You understand? Like, it has a niche ability that nothing else
Yeah.
has, you know? So
Yeah.
it's still decent. Like, you talk about Grogan, like, what does it do that nothing else does?
Yeah, I think like
know what I mean?
LD Nat 5s, they need to get like all of them to a point where like if you summon one, you're not like disappointed by it. Like it's got to be like at a certain benchmark against regular elemental Nat 5s. Like
Right. It's got to be decent. I agree
Somewhat-
with that because it's so
somewhat
rare,
usable,
right? It's
but
so
yeah.
rare. It's literally so rare.
at least,
you know?
yeah.
Right. Ever since they made the change to Rocky with not just not letting a unit revive, but also killing through death-defying stuff, they need to update Grogan. Even though Grogan sucks, he is one of the few units
Crack
that...
above is coming.
I mean, even though Grogan sucks, he's one of the few AoE units that stops revive, right? But they need to make it so it stops death-defying as well. And unfortunately, I do apologize for any Grogan owners out there, but that's what he's for. AoE nuke, and it's supposed to kill things through death-defying and not revive them, unfortunately. Right? But they need to
That's
add in
crazy
that
how-
death-defying factor so it can kill Mihos and stuff as well.
It's crazy how Silent has a lot of LD Nat 5s. I want to say he has 11 or
Nah.
10 LD Nat 5s.
I
Almost.
have 7.
But
7.
everything is like subpar. Everything is like
Yeah.
below average.
Yeah, they're all really bad.
You know, that's a true statement as well. Justin saying in chat about Luxac, right? Oblivion, I mean, we've been asking so long for more Oblivion units, but Oblivion actually can mitigate a lot of the Luxacking potential of the units that are out there, right? If they ever created a strip Oblivion unit, that's big, right? That unit becomes meta. Is that OP? No, I don't think so. But is it meta?
I think it's
becomes
OP.
meta. You think it's OP?
I don't think it could have strip or it could go through immunity. That's too OP, you know?
Why? But it's to handle all these Luxac units, though.
Only a single target one, I think.
Single
is
target,
okay.
though. Maybe not AoE. Right?
But you
Yeah,
still have
because
to have
then,
broken units.
oh man, you guys think about it, right? Think about all
Okay.
these units with passives,
Mhm.
and then think about what happens if it goes through. It always goes through immunity or it strips and then casts Oblivion.
You can cleanse it. What's wrong with that? That's the same thing as you have a defense break.
Think about it.
Wait, how impactful is if you have defense break on your unit? That unit's probably dead, right? What do? You cleanse it.
It could set Oblivion, but I don't think strip instead of Oblivion is the direction Summoner's War will want to go. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Okay, go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think what makes some of the Oblivion units right now not usable is that there's either too long of a cooldown or the Oblivion doesn't last long enough. So whatever units they come out with, like, it's gotta be like, for it to be good and usable, it's got to apply Oblivion like either on a passive or like, you know, on a really short cooldown because what's that water dryad?
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
even lowered the cooldown on that and people still don't use
Still
it.
not
So
good enough.
Yeah, 2-turn cooldown is not enough. Like 2-turn Oblivion is not enough. Because they could just like proc out of it and Oblivion's gone, you know?
So what if Oblivion cannot be cleansed? What if Oblivion cannot be resisted? It's gotta have some impact, man. I mean, if we want to make Oblivion good and have more units with
Yeah.
it, if it has the
Yeah,
same impact as
I
it
just
has
think-
now,
you
it's
talk
useless.
about Oblivion. I think you talk about Oblivion every single podcast, but it's really
Yeah.
hard to make it good because it'll impact so many units right now. You know, Triana, Vanessa, straight off the bat, like some of these units are so impacted.
Okay, but
Fine.
let me bring it back to like 2 years ago with the meta where Tessarin was picked quite often, right? How OP was he? How OP was he
good.
handling all the defense? Was
was
he? He was good, right? But he's not OP, right? So what if we
Yeah.
had more units like that in the meta?
Just a quick question: the Half Tilt Gamer
Uh-huh.
has he says Oblivion should block Despair of Io as well, or rune abilities.
No. I don't think they're ever gonna do anything with the runes, dude. That's too big. That's too big. Like stopping an entire rune set? No way, dude. I think that's too much.
But just to play devil's advocate, like Antares kind of counters an entire rune set, right? Like he's built to counter Vio. You proc more, he procs more. So there are units that sort of counter rune sets.
True.
That's fair.
It's fair. But yeah, so why are you against Oblivion so much, Thompson? I feel like your comp doesn't even have that much of an issue.
I'm
with
not.
it.
It's just, I can wonder what are people gonna do against like if imagine I have a unit that could strip an Oblivion.
Right.
Then what are those?
You know what Thompson's favorite units are? Nephthys, Lauren, and Verd.
Okay, so let's think of normal.
No.
drafts.
Let's
think about normal drafts. Okay, normal drafts though, right?
If there's a unit that goes Oblivion and Strip, and they pick like Tetra Juno. Oh, poor soul, man. That guy's destroyed, There's so many units that has passive and smart passive that are just going to get wrecked. I'm not saying Oblivion's bad. I'm saying Strip and Oblivion's bad. That's all.
I don't think it's
But
bad. I think it's strong. And I think it shakes up the meta. Go ahead.
The comment that Stoic made is quite good, actually. That it shouldn't only be applying Oblivion. It should have a general kit in general. Like it should have something else next to the Oblivion.
Of course.
That's what's missing on Oblivion monsters right now. They are only there to do Oblivion, and for the rest they suck.
Like I'm telling you right now, the second
it's too clunky otherwise.
I'm telling you right now, the second they make a monster with AoE Oblivion, it's over. Like Summoner's War is over. Like what are they gonna do if I just slam AoE Oblivion, Nephthys, Gianna? There's nothing they could do, right? They can't do that.
There's nothing to do with just
Cleansers.
Nephthys and Gianna.
Velajuel.
Velajuel.
Maybe
Against
that's
Nephthys, Gianna. AoE Oblivion.
Well, okay.
Okay.
I'm not saying like
Okay,
into
okay.
that specific combo, but there's ways like around AoE Oblivion.
Okay, let's
I think AoE Oblivion is way too
Okay,
OP.
so if you had an Isis right now,
Game
which would
cannot
be
have
OP? Let's comp to us. Frank, can you give Thompson
This
a
is right
Isis? Okay,
You know?
now you have an Isis. Are you gonna
Everybody's
win with
spelling
Isis now?
ISIS in chat, but like everybody that I know that owns an ISIS is the most inconsistent thing in the
But
world.
he just said
So I
AoE
don't know.
Oblivion. He just said AoE Oblivion with that setup, right? A strip into Nephthys into Isis. So do you win with it? Is it big? I don't think it's that big, Thompson. I have to disagree.
Okay. Fair enough. That's a paradigm shift. Isis. There is Isis. I've never played with Isis, so I don't know. I just feel like in my head, if there's a monster that does like AoE Oblivion and something else, it sounds really OP,
So you're
But
against
Isis is
the
like-
strip and single target Oblivion as
I mean,
well.
I don't know if ISIS is really that much of a thing because everybody I know that has one doesn't use it. They say it's terrible. Even like a guy like Tiger, he has an ISIS, and he doesn't
I
use
also
it,
do. I also do feel like if Isis's cooldown is like 3-turn cooldown, it will be really, really good, right? The cooldown is just way too long. 5 turns? 4 turns?
5 turns.
Yeah.
But the crazy part about it is it has to be kind of long because it doesn't own Oblivion, it silences too, so you can't even cleanse it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of serious. Like you're
It's
trapped.
strong. It's a strong unit.
you're
The
trapped
cooldown
in
is just
shit,
way too long. Because I know all Isis users are just scared of like units violent proccing out of the silence and the Oblivion,
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. Then it does nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
So then maybe AoE Oblivion, like without the silence, is okay.
Yeah, well, the silence is not too bad. It can cleanse. You know what I mean? But once again, the 2-turn Oblivion,
Cleanse, Bioproc.
the 2-turn Oblivion is just susceptible to violent procs too.
You know the
You
more
you wait all your life to Oblivion, like you wait so many turns just to Oblivion something with no immunity, and then it just procs out.
I mean, the more I think of it, do you think Come to Us actually feels Oblivion is really strong? Like, it might be a really... I mean, I think it's a strong debuff, but you think it's really strong and that's why they haven't made more of it because they're scared?
It counters like 50% of the meta, 60% of the meta, From like the easiest ones, the real meta right now, Triana, Vanessa. It counters that, right?
Yeah, counters Lauren Verd, counters Nephthys.
Exactly.
So
Oblivion,
maybe
really.
that's...
The one thing I'll agree with IslandGrown is that more Oblivion units or a better Oblivion unit will really shake up the meta because you won't feel so safe picking all these passives. Like even during like you were saying earlier, the Thessarion wave a few years ago, like people were still a little cautious on picking Oblivion on passive units because of everybody having a Tessa in the back pocket. Now that nobody uses Tessa anymore, like people just pick passive units like freely. You know what I mean? Like there almost isn't a non-passive unit you use. It's like everybody's basing on a passive.
Yeah.
Man, imagine you have strip Oblivion, and then the opponent picks like Jaeger Ragdoll or like Artemil Ragdoll. Whoa!
I mean, but you're talking from a standpoint of like a very 0.0001% of the population of players, right? I'm talking about the healthiness.
I don't know. Like
community.
strip Oblivion sounds like the dream, but it sounds like really, really OP. If it has like other kits with it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's single target and like a 1-turn Oblivion would be balanced, right?
Yeah. Or
I don't think it's balanced, but I know
like,
I know a
really
single
bad.
target is not that bad, but it's
Yeah.
still bad. It's a big deal. It's a really like to shut down. Like, what are you scared of most when you're trying to cleave? You're testing for speed. You're scared to see a ragdoll there, But if you could shut down the ragdoll right off the bat, then it's like you're free to cleave a guy,
Like I feel like the
So I agree with
next
that, too.
fusion is going to be an Oblivion unit. What do you think? I think.
That'd be cool. Everyone
then-
can build it.
Cool, yeah.
Are we gonna get into the topic of, oh my god, guys, god damn it, free to play unit fusion is now the strongest unit in the game and most contested as pick number 5. You know what I mean?
wouldn't mind, man. There's Fran, there's Lauren, one of like the two of the best RTA monsters in the game, Vertihill. Wouldn't mind
Yeah,
make another one.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, as long as it's like a strategic unit that you're picking for a reason and does a unique purpose, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think it's okay if a unit's like used for the purpose it's being used for. If a unit's used just for trying to get lucky, it's ridiculous.
But we know based on pattern that Comtos is really careful with
Mhm.
Oblivion monsters. So like, don't have your hopes up that it's gonna have Oblivion, right?
Yeah, I just want to see more Oblivion, but yeah, definitely got to be careful. I think Oblivion's a very, very strong debuff. The more that we talk about
I
it,
agree.
it's a very strong debuff. So it's right that they're being careful. I mean, it's in our best interest as well, right? You don't want them to release something that's so broken it just like kind of like kills a game, right? So yeah,
They have to
makes
realize
sense.
too that some of the best LD monsters in the game has passives, and how
What
it's
if-
going to impact their accounts.
But it's not only LD monsters.
What if they changed
Having a-
Oblivion, where instead of like 100% deactivation of the passive, it reduces the passive effect by 50% or something?
It's hard though. What about Fiona?
There's too many
right?
different effects, though.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Well,
different
what-
types of effects.
I mean, that's true, but like maybe Triana becomes like 50% chance to save someone from death.
That's actually cool. I like it.
Well, that's really RNG then.
That brings back the luck side of the game again, though.
I may win this, but I may not. But I may win this, but I may not.
But I feel like that's okay because there's like there's a certain amount of like agency to using the Oblivion, because you have to pick like, who am I gonna Oblivion, and now I like, what you're dealing with. You're applying 50% chance to Triana or something like that. So I feel like that's something you can plan around, so I'm okay with it.
You don't want to see more? I want to see more silence as well. That's something that we don't see often. Like these debuffs that aren't, widely used and not on a wide range of units that are, meta would be interesting. Silence would be pretty big. Silence is pretty damn big.
I don't think
on the
so.
on the right unit.
I think a lot of units have really great passives or really great first skills that silence just doesn't do what it's supposed to do,
Like
Lauren, Verd, and then there's like Fran and stuff like that, Elucia. It's just like
True.
first skills are really good,
True.
Like just look at the Sea Emperors, they have AoE silence 2 turns, but they're good. But Triton,
Okay.
Ponto's not that good. The water one's not that good either, right?
Okay. All right. Any last words, guys, before we end it off here? Solid podcast today. Yeah.
I actually saw one interesting question.
Go ahead,
I'm curious
Chris.
what you guys think about it. It was in the chat. What are some creative ways to hold the finals with the whole Corona crisis going on right now?
Yeah, I think that this year's SWC is going to be all online. I don't think it's going to be at any kind of event center or anything like that. I don't foresee this coronavirus skipping
think
out
it's-
anytime soon.
But do you think it's going to happen at all?
I think it'll happen,
It will
but I think
happen.
it'll be online. It'll happen online.
It will happen. And so if you guys didn't know, all the contestants out there, it will happen. And because as we know, all these different regionals and finals, you know, cost like hundreds of millions of dollars. The prize pool this year for SWC is going to be about $1 million to match the Dodo Auto Chess $1 million tournament they had. I'm just kidding. That'd be nuts though, right? That'd be nuts. I would like to see them do a couple of these online tournaments with, you know, decently large prize pools. That would be pretty cool. I think that'd be nice. One thing I want to see them do for sure, right? I don't know how they're gonna have these online tournaments, but I would like them to do a tournament with influencers and make it for charity. That's my suggestion, right? Get YDCB in there, whoever it is, right? Whoever it is, whatever content creators they want to bring in, make it a 100K tournament, and different content creators choose their charity, and they play for charity. Yeah, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
I like it.
With more of that, you know, budget they have, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they should have a fairly large budget that they're planning for this year. Because I mean, when they have events, like I think people take it for granted. The meetups, the events, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not like over $1 million, just to set up an event, like easily.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, definitely got to take that in mind.
No
Then
events
Patrick
are
could be
held,
part of that. Patrick could be part of that because he's a consistent streamer now.
Everybody here is.
Yo,
Silent's gonna start
three
streaming
times
too.
in 5 days is consistent, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's a start.
I think it'd be cool if they did a like an open qualifier round. So like have like maybe 1 or 2 slots reserved in you know, group stages or something for the, you know, for 2 people out of a giant open qualifier bucket.
Yeah, they
So
did
people
that
who,
with
like-
Europe last year, I believe.
Yeah, so like if you didn't play season 12 or whatever, like, you know, there's a way for you to try to like come in as a wild card.
Actually, like this weekend or last weekend, me and IslandGrown did like a team battle. It was like
That's
USA versus Brazil, and I felt like that was really cool. And if you could involve Summoner's War in like a more friendly team, you know, like I could play with my friends against other people.
I love the team-based thing. That's why
And I
GVG
saw-
is always my favorite shit.
And I saw the Brazil people have so much fun with it too, because
Yeah.
as they're playing against us, they're speaking Portuguese and like telling other people like who to ban, who to pick. I know I would love it if I'm in a tournament with like, you know, Huayka, Silent, and like IslandGrown and Crystal Shizzle. It's like us 5 versus the other 5, right? That'd be super cool for people to implement for them.
But
to
they
implement.
did
Easy.
that a bit
We
with
just did it this weekend.
the guild event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only
the
once.
skill versus kill thing is the most fun thing. I agree. I think the whole pick ban thing is fun with it too, where you can't reuse units and stuff like that. It brings a lot more interesting things and newer units to the table, so you're not stuck seeing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
Yep. I think if they did different regions, that would be pretty cool. That'd be really nice
Yeah.
to see.
Absolutely.
Like US versus Asia versus EU, and they have like a couple tournaments like that for fun. That'd be great. That'd be really nice.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was cool. They didn't give us like enough time to really do anything, like, you know, but if it's like well planned out, that'll be awesome, you know.
Oh, shut up.
What?
He comes to my stream and he goes, "Are we just messing around or are we planning out?" Comes to my stream, asks what I'm doing. I spent a couple hours the night before rerunning some units for a fun showcase, and he picks my fucking units. This guy, dude. This
I also
guy.
went on
You
your
chose
stream.
my Barbara. You know I'm drafting Barbara, and then you guys
Okay.
take Vanessa and Triana and just use it all,
the
dude.
First person, you know who's the first person that said I try hard when I pick Hathor? It was you.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna use Hathor. I told you I'm still
But you're on my
picking
team.
good unit. But I'm still picking. You
You
don't want to
don't
never
want
S2 with
Hathor.
Verd. You don't want to never S2 with Verd.
Barbara. You don't want me to use Vanessa. Then who do I use?
Huh?
That's why Wycuz is the real teammate. When he says, Wycuz, you can have Gani Hathor in the first game he plays on stage. Patrick, can I take Hathor? I let him have it. That's a real teammate, bro.
Thank you.
I mean, like, out of all the drafts, you had to use Barbara, though. And Vanessa and Triana, right?
Yeah, but when I use other monsters, you're the first person to say I
You
try
have
hard.
so many. You have so many other options.
Yes, but they're try hard monsters. And you're citing
you were
what
already
the
using
Brazilians
tryhard
say,
monsters.
I'm
Screw it.
trying
We
hard.
were losing. We needed to win that. Let's be real.
Then tell me to try hard. Then I'll slam those monsters down.
We needed to win that, dude. We needed to
I
win
did
that.
win that.
It's okay.
We
It
needed to
was-
win the last. We needed to win that last round you played, and we didn't.
Okay, let's ask chat right now. For those of you guys that watched the tournament, why did we lose? A,
Bad
I lost
teamwork.
the last battle. B, because Thompson did not use S2 with Vern. S2. I didn't even give the options, and they already said Vern
Well,
S2.
to be fair, I'll answer this question. I'll answer this question. Did Thompson partially throw it by being on auto for the last 2 minutes of the fight? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. However, you can't blame the guy that went 2 and 3. You got to blame the guys that went 1 and 3. Run out of 3, right? So it's fair both ways. You would have won 5-4 if Thompson didn't press auto. But you also won 5-4 if somebody else won a game.
But
too.
also
So
the guys 1 and 3 that
it's
went
even
last. Wait,
argument.
the guy that went 1 and 3 and went last and had a lot of his units that he told his teammates he was using was drafted. That's another factor, right? That is another factor, right? I agree with you.
That's up for debate. I wasn't there for that conversation.
Yeah.
I went to you before the stream and I asked you, like, is this your only team? Because you're gonna pick something else. And you told me,
I had other stuff, but that's what I said as favorites because I wanted to use Mo Long to showcase because it's for fun, right? But it's a serious for fun team. And then 3 of my 6 units are drafted. What the?
You told me that you're gonna use you have another team ready.
Actually, the second team that I had ready was gonna be for fun with my light vamp, which was with the Vanessa Triana, but my teammates had already chosen Vanessa and Triana, so I'm not sure exactly how to draft that.
I bring a regular team, I can't because people say I try hard. I bring a bad team, I lose, I can't because I lose. I bring another team which is totally different. And people say I pick your monsters. This is really hard, man. It's like lose situation.
Life happens, man. I'm just kidding. It was fun. Though. It was fun. No. I'm on a serious note. I'm just messing with you. It was fun.
I know. I'm just messing with you too.
Yeah. It was super fun. I enjoyed the matches that we had and the units that everybody picked. I hope they do more.
I think everybody enjoyed it. That's the thing. I think we should have more of that. The team battle.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, if you use S2 and we just won right there, it would have been pretty boring. So I'm glad it was auto and we lost and it went out as long as we did.
Thank you for losing the last game. That it would have been kind of. We wouldn't get rematch if we won the last game. You know. That's true.
Wait, I was being legit and then you came up with some sarcastic shit.
You're being legit. Okay,
I was being
legit.
Look, I love
you're trying to make things interesting.
All right, man. Very good podcast today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I think we went over some really good topics in terms of your mental game from being tilted in RTA, as well as talking about the various units and everything that goes with RTA, right? Some of the toxic units and our stance and what we think about them. So thank you guys. Oh, and of course talking about the guilds. That was a big thing. I really enjoyed talking about that with you guys. But thank you guys for joining me on the podcast today. Hopefully it's not the last time we see Silent. And now that he's got a cam going, he's at home. He's got some free time. Maybe you guys will see some Silent RTA content if he sets up a stream. Who knows, right? But I will also leave his Twitch link down below because he has a Twitch account. So you never know. Follow it and maybe you'll see him streaming. Yeah, as well as Chris is probably streaming more. Thompson and Waika's already consistent streamers. So yeah, check out their streams, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next live streamer podcast.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Hopefully give you some entertainment during this virus. And thanks for having us, Island. And I'll see you guys on the stream later.
All right,
man.
I'm starving.
Peace. Go eat, man. Go eat. Thanks, guys.